In previous part of the lesson about JSP scripting elements and directive, we already learned the concept of JSP. And now in this part of the lesson, we're going to learn how JSP works. Okay, so now, what's the mechanism behind the scenes, or how does JSP work? Well, when the first request for JSP come in, then Tomcat, which is an application server, will automatically convert the JSP file for that request to a servlet, and then compiles it and then runs it as a servlet. And here is the diagram for this process. First, the JSP is converted to a servlet, which is a Java file, and then Tomcat will compile it into a bytecode format, which is a .class file, and then Tomcat will execute this bytecode file. And this whole process is automatically done by server, which is Tomcat. Now, to understand more clearly about this process, we should take a look at some directories related to this process. The first directory is called deployed directory, and in Eclipse, deployed directory is this directory or this folder, which is under Tomcat Home. And in Eclipse, Tomcat Home is this path, and here is the workspace for Eclipse, or Eclipse workspace, and here is the .metadata.plugins org.eclipse.wst.server.core and temp0. And notice that under the deploy directory there are multiple web applications, and here is the content of this web application. Notice that this one and this one are different. Here is the project folder, and here is the deployed folder. This one is here. This is project folder, and this is deployed folder or deployed directory. The second directory is work directory, and in Eclipse, work directory is here. Catalina, this one is under Catalina, and so this is work directory, localhost. And also notice that in the work directory there are multiple web applications, and for each web application is called context name. Context name is the this one. And remember that in Eclipse, Tomcat Home is this path, so work directory can be expanded to this path. Notice that if you created multiple runtimes, server runtimes in Eclipse, then we have multiple temp folder. So if, for example, if you create 2 more server runtimes, then you will have temp1 and temp2, and temp1 is corresponding to server runtime 2, and temp2 corresponding to server runtime 3. And so for each server runtime, you have a corresponding tempx directory, and x is a number. And in Eclipse, you can create a server runtime in following way. You go to Preferences, Server Runtime Environment, and then Eclipse will bring out this dialog, and then you click Add here, and then you perform 2 more steps on these 2 dialogs, and then that's finished. You have a server runtime. Now, here in this slide, I would like to compare the 2 directories, which are work directory and deployed directory. And here's the deployed folder, and here's the work folder. You can see in the deployed folder the JSP files here, and you can see in the work folder the Java files and the class files. Remember that the Java file is converted by Tomcat from JSP files, and the .class file is compiled by Tomcat from Java file. Okay, so now let's open the Java file and the JSP file, and let's compare the contents of those 2 files to understand more clearly about the conversion, which is performed by Tomcat. from the JSP file to the Java file. Remember that this one is the servlet. Okay, here is the work folder, and here is the deployed folder. Notice that the deployed folder contains the JSP files here, and here is the work folder, which contains the Java file and the class files. And okay, here is the work folder localhost, and this one is the folder for this web application. And similarly, this one is the folder for this web application in the deployed directory or in the deployed struct folder. Okay, so let's open this file. And open the JSP file. Okay, here is the JSP file, and this file is actually this file. Okay, so I will open it in Eclipse. So here is the content of the JSP file, and here is the content of the servlet, which is the Java file, which is converted from the JSP file. And remember that this one is the servlet, so it extends from the HTTP JSP base, and this is the subclass of the HTTP servlet class. And in this class, we have the underscore JSP servlet underscore JSP service method. And inside this method, please pay attention to this line, get method. And this method returns the method of the request. So the return can be get or post or head, and etc. And based on the method of the request, we can call do get or do post accordingly. And here is the conversion from the HTML content here, the HTML content. Notice that in this file we have two types of contents, which is HTML content and the Java code content. And here is the conversion from the HTML content to the Java code inside the servlet. So you can see here is the original HTML line from the HTML content of the JSP page. So this line was converted by Tomcat to this line out.write, and then passed the original HTML line from the JSP page as a parameter of this method. And similarly, you can see here is the HTML. Okay, here is HTML and head title, and here is head title, and etc. You should pay attention to this line. And this is the Java code from JSP page. Here, Java code from JSP page. Okay. Now let's summarize. Okay, now let's summarize the observations about the conversion from JSP to servlet by Tomcat. And first of all, a servlet which is converted by JSP will be the subclass of this class, HTTP JSP base, and this one is the subclass of HTTP servlet. And the servlet which is converted by Tomcat from the JSP page has this method underscore JSP service, and this method handles everything. That is, it can handle the request with any method, whether it is get, post, or anything else. And this method replaces the service method from HTTP servlet. And, in the underscore JSP service method, we call request.get method. This line will return the method of the request, and based on that request, based on that method, we can use if-else statement, and based on that, we can handle the request accordingly. And finally, each line of HTML text will be converted to out.write. So all the HTML text in JSP page are converted into out.write statement, as you can see here. And that's all for this part of the lesson about JSP scripting elements and directives.